Good evening. My name is David Grothus. Today's date is April 27th of 2023. I wrote something that I'd like to share with you tonight. The title of my speech is The 2020 Election Evaluation by One American. All right. Number one, oath of office violation by governors in each of the states below before January 6th of 2020. What am I talking about? Arizona, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Georgia, California, and Colorado. Those governors committed oath of office violations. Before votes were cast, during voting, during the casting of votes into unsecured election boxes, and counting of votes cast. The actual crimes occurred are, number one, dereliction of duty by the governors before January 6th of 2020 in the states, as I mentioned earlier, Arizona, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Georgia, California, and Colorado. Number one, were all the dead voters removed from the voter rolls in each precinct throughout the United States? And if the answer is no, then guess what? Election supervisors failed to do their duty, and they were derelict in their legal duty. Number two, were individuals bribed by Mark Zuckerberg with $10 million plus to not do their job correctly before the election occurred? No one was indicted, no one was arrested for being bribed by Mark Zuckerberg. Number three, the legal dates to count the votes were altered and extended by governors without the legislature voting to extend the dates. Those legislatures have assembly members who are supposed to vote to change the date in which the votes are counted. They were not included. Therefore, the governors broke their oath of office. Number four, votes cast by illegal aliens in California, Colorado, New York, and other states were not nullified, but they should have been. Explain to me, Mr. Election Supervisors in those states, how come you did not nullify the votes cast by illegal aliens that were supposed to be nullified? Number five, the Dominion machine has a modem which enables outside sources to communicate with it. The Dominion machine was hijacked and the software was altered to miscount the votes cast. Let me clarify that. For every vote that Trump received, he got 0.70 credit. For every vote Biden cast, he got 1.4 percent for each Biden vote. All right, so that changed the outcome of the election. Number six, ballot boxes were not secure in many states. They were not watched in many states. No one watched the ballots being cast. They were supposed to be watched, but they were not. That, my friends, is illegal. But guess what? The movie 2000 Mules proved that illegal and fraudulent ballots were cast by hundreds of people in many states into unsecured ballot drop boxes. These votes were never invalidated by election supervisors. Now that, my friends, is dereliction of duty by election supervisors. Number seven, every mail-in ballot did not have both signatures on each ballot verified to be matching. Election supervisors committed dereliction of duty to verify the signatures were matching on each ballot. Number eight, every ballot was not verified to have a legal voter that cast that ballot. So you have illegal aliens in California, Colorado, New York, and many other states that cast votes Now, were those ballots nullified because they were cast by illegal aliens? That's an honest question. Number 9, individuals who committed voter fraud, who used dead voter names on the ballots to cast those ballots, those votes were not invalidated and nullified. How is that possible? That the dereliction of duty of election supervisors has occurred again. Number 10, election voter officials during the election itself were prevented from watching voters cast their votes. Now this was illegal, and election supervisors again did nothing. They were derelict in their duty. Number 11, voter officials during the counting of votes were prevented from watching workers count the votes. Now, how is that possible? The election supervisors did not intervene to help the voter officials watching the counting of the votes. So therefore, the election supervisors were derelict in their duty again. Number 12, hundreds of sworn affidavits were not acknowledged by the courts because of some administrative error. Well, guess what? I believe that's dereliction of duty by the judges to not do their due diligence. The Attorney General, Mr. Bill Barr, stated, "There's not enough election fraud to make the outcome different." Well, guess what? That in itself is an acknowledgement that there was a little bit of election fraud. And guess what? It is not his job to determine if there is enough election fraud to change the outcome. It's his job to verify that the election fraud took place and who was responsible for starting it, which he did not do. So his job is to basically verify the outcome of the election fraud, and he did not do that. He violated 18 U.S.C. Code 1918, his oath of office, for not acknowledging and not looking at all the fraud and the illegal activity which occurred election night and the days which followed. Number 14, Vice President Mike Pence was derelict in his sworn legal duty to oversee that the election supervisors in each state did their due diligence to verify each legal vote cast was counted and to make sure illegal fraudulent votes cast were not counted but were nullified. It was illegal for Vice President Mike Pence to validate electors and to certify the election when 5 states in question above had illegal and fraudulent votes cast that were counted and not invalidated. He violated his oath of office at that precise moment. Now here's an interesting statistic that each person listening to this speech should consider. There are approximately 120 million legal registered voters in the United States today. Now, it is impossible for Biden to have received 80 million legal votes when Trump received 70 million in 2016, and he received more in 2020 than he did in 2016. Biden at best could have only received 45 to 50 million legal votes cast if there's a total of 120 million legal registered voters in the United States. Number 16, 9 Supreme Court justices were derelict in honoring their oaths of office. 18 U.S.C. Code 1918. There was a court case that was brought to their attention by the Texas Attorney General and 17 states together to have them look at voter fraud in the 2020 election. Now, guess what? They individually had a job to do. I'm talking about the 9 Supreme Court justices, and they declined to do their job. Article 3, Section 2 of the Constitution establishes the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. The court has original jurisdiction over certain cases that occur between each state. And that's exactly what occurred. So for them to deny standing to the Texas Attorney General in 17 states, I believe, is dereliction of duty on the part of the Supreme Court Chief Justices. They were derelict to look at evidence which needed adjudication between 5 states, which violated their own election procedures, and the 17 states which the Texas Attorney General brought to their attention. They refused to look at the evidence. Now here's something you cannot dismiss. You cannot dismiss a case because you're unwilling to look at the evidence. The evidence stands with or without anyone acknowledging it. In conclusion, the 2020 election was altered by the dereliction of duty and the crimes of these individuals. The 9 Supreme Court justices were derelict to honor their oaths of office, to look at evidence that was substantiated by the Attorney General from Texas. All right? Vice President Pence certified electors from 5 states which did not verify each vote that was cast was validated. Okay? How can you validate and certify an election when the votes cast were by illegal aliens in about 5 to 10 different states? Those votes were not nullified. The election boxes were not secure, and you had over 100 people committing voter fraud by putting in ballots illegally into these unsecure election boxes. Okay, number 3, the Attorney General Barr did not even look at the evidence regarding voter fraud. He did not have illegal aliens who cast ballots and votes. Those were not nullified. You didn't have all the fraudulent votes cast by individuals of dead voter names. Those were not invalidated. Okay? And then Attorney General Barr didn't dismiss the fact that these 5 states extended the election date to continue to count votes in their states without the approval and the vote of their assembly members in each of their states. 5 governors broke their oath of office by not verifying each vote that was cast in their state was validated. Okay? They didn't dismiss the election boxes that were not secure. They did dismiss those. They didn't dismiss illegal alien votes that were cast and counted instead of those votes being nullified. Now, the election supervisors failed to do their due diligence concerning number 1, illegal aliens that cast votes. Those votes should be invalidated. Number 2, the election fraud that took place by over 100 different people casting illegal votes in election boxes that were unsecure. Those were not invalidated. And it goes on and on. So there you have it, folks. Dereliction of duty by 9 Supreme Court Chief Justices, the Vice President, the Attorney General, Mr. Barr, 5 governors, and election supervisors. You have oath of office violation, 18 U.S.C. 1918. They failed to do their due diligence to look at evidence. You cannot dismiss evidence that you don't look at. Liberty demands justice. God hates sin, all liars, and deceit. I want you to pray about the words I've shared with you tonight, and remember that you can make a difference by bringing up the law, sharing facts with individuals, and bringing the truth to an ignorant population. You have a great day and good night.